You are being robbed of your joy by your ego. The ego is not a bad guy. The ego provides us with fabulous information. We just don't want to lead our lives from our ego, especially when we're trying to make decisions. You want to be in flow with your intuition to be guided down a path to your dreams. Most of the time, you're being guided by your ego. When you're trying to make a decision, it can be a tennis ball match in your head. When you feel into this back and forth, pause and notice if your thoughts are coming from your intuition, which is your inner wisdom, or your ego, which is your spiraling thinking that's in your head. When you get in alignment with your intuition, things unfold more harmoniously, and we take steps to truly accomplish our dream. Come along with me, and I'll help you get aligned with your inner wisdom, your intuition. I'll share 6 ways to help you get into alignment with your intuition so you can take steps towards your true desires. I want to share with you an example of when my intuition was coming through loud and clear. I have been in the role of a life coach for my friends for years. Long story short, coaching had been coming up in my life in a lot of different ways. I started following Alyssa Nobrega, who is a life coach, and everything that she was saying completely resonated with me. I continue to have people say, you should be a counselor or you should be a coach. I went to Alyssa's website and I started reading everything. She is the founder of the Institute for Coaching Mastery. As I read, everything was a yes for me, and I felt completely aligned with what she was saying. I looked at going back to school, and I looked at the monetary investment and the time commitment. Even though it was a serious investment in time and in money, I just felt drawn to it. She wasn't admitting students for about 7 months. So I applied and I just went on with my life. I continued to listen to what she was sharing on social media and resonating with everything she shared. Then 7 months later, I was invited to join the Institute for Coaching Mastery. I thought I need to sit down and I need to think through this. I need to pray about it before I can make any type of commitment. Every time I started to try to think through and listen for guidance, all I heard was, you're doing this. You know you're doing this. I would try to think through, and my thoughts wouldn't allow me to think through it or even pray about it. All I heard was, this connects with every part of your being. You've already been coaching everyone your whole life. You know you must get certified and help others. I heard my inner knowing saying the money and the time commitments, they're going to fall into place. I felt completely at peace and I enrolled in the program. Everything did come with ease. The money unfolded. I made it to every class and coaching session except for one for a whole year of being on Zoom 3 times a week. It just all flowed, and it was the most expansive year of my life. The decision was completely led by my inner wisdom. Most decisions in my life have not been so screaming you're doing this. Learning to determine whether you're being guided by intuition or ego can make a huge difference in your life. So, how do you know if your thoughts are coming from your intuition? Intuition is the knowing that this is right, that this connects with my spirit, this excites me, this guidance is from my heart regardless of what my head is saying, or even if you know the guidance isn't going to lead you down the easiest path, you know it's the right path that will lead you to the freedom that you're looking for. It's just a true knowing. The ego is the part of us that thinks about the importance of us from an outside view. The ego judges, but it's given a bad rap because it is innocently trying to protect us. It always has great information for us. If you hear yourself saying something about yourself, something that's negative, fearful, or something that feels like it's trying to convince you, question it. Is this true? What's behind this thought? We want to learn from the ego, but we don't want to take action from our ego. I'm going to share 6 ways that can help you determine if you're listening to your intuition or your ego. Well, there are no hard or fast rules to make this distinction. There are tendencies that can serve as a guide. Let's look at these 6 ways to help you determine if your thoughts are coming from your intuition or from your ego. 1, ego-based decisions are grounded in fear and self-protection. If you decide to go to medical school primarily for reasons of financial security, That's your ego. If you decide not to talk to somebody because she's beautiful and you don't think that you measure up, that's your ego. Question these thoughts. What's behind the thought? What's your true desire? Is there a way to connect what you really want in a way that feels aligned? If these questions are hard for you to answer, go check out my video, How Changing Your Story Can Change Your Life. It's linked in the description below. Number 2, intuition feels right. A choice made from a place of intuition, it just feels right. And it often just comes to you. You could be driving along and the idea of becoming a dog breeder comes to you. The act of being in service in this way and spending time with dogs, it just feels right and it lights you up. The resulting battle in your head is your ego trying to protect you by focusing on fears and limitations. When you can quiet the mind and feel into this choice, guidance from your intuition will come along and it'll feel peaceful and right. Being a dog breeder may not be your path, but listen into why that came to you. What does being a dog breeder represent for you? Sometimes my clients have found it challenging to quiet their mind and really feel the calm that allows the intuition. If you feel that way, there's a link in the description below to an inner wisdom affirmation that helps you feel the calm and then guide your thought to tap into your intuition. Number 3, ego-based decisions consider external results. Are you writing a book in order to have a bestseller? Or are you writing this book because you are so inspired and you just want to share? Are you taking action to gain a certain result? Or does the action itself provide satisfaction? These are good questions to ask yourself. Next, ego-based decisions involve rationalization. Your ego is wonderful at convincing you that its choice is the right one. I'll never get that job. Imagine how disappointed I'll feel when it doesn't work out. People like me are destined to stay in a supervisor position, which is totally fine because I am good at it. I can still have a good life, but in your heart, you yearn for something else. It's really just a rationalization based on fear of failure. Sometimes it is fear of success also, but it's all great information. Question that belief. I'll never get that job. Question the fears. I'm not good enough. Is that true? Where in your life is that not true? Next, the ego tries to justify itself with facts and figures and logic. Intuition doesn't require these tricks to compel you. If you're using logic and it feels like you're trying to convince yourself of a course of action, you can bet that that's your ego squawking. In my example of making the decision to go back to school, my intuition wouldn't let my ego even talk. It wouldn't allow facts and figures. My intuition was front and center with a peaceful knowing and a trusting that this was right and everything would fall into place. I really knew and felt this. If your ego keeps bringing up facts and figures, then there's a fear that you need to listen into, because when your decision is completely aligned with your intuition, then this knowing, it quiets the facts and the figures. Next, intuition, it doesn't judge. A thought or decision arising from intuition, it doesn't involve judgment statements about what's bad or what's good. Intuitive thoughts feel calm and relaxed and inspired. They feel peaceful. There's a universal truth and a knowing that arises from your intuition. Next, is the expected gratification coming from within, or is it external? Would you make the same choice if no one would ever know? Would you purchase that BMW if no one knew you owned it? Or do you simply love German automobiles and you love the idea of driving one? Are you driven by money and admiration or by personal satisfaction? While the ego can be very limiting, that doesn't necessarily mean it's always wrong. Remember, the ego's motivation is largely based on self-preservation. Your ego believes it has your best interest at heart. Everything the ego does, it's innocent. It's coming from learned patterns of thought. Listen and question what the ego has to share. Have compassion with this part of you. Feel into what's really behind the thoughts. Learn and grow from what the ego shares. The trick is to realize when fear is holding you back from something bigger and better. Sometimes fear is keeping you from doing something that's foolish. So breathe, feel, and question the thoughts before choosing which voice to follow. Use the tips I shared that'll help you make an aligned decision that'll help you live a blessed life that nourishes you, body, mind, and spirit. If you need help with listening to your intuition, let's chat. Go to shannoncorporon.com. Let's review. How do I know I'm making the right decision? Let's become aware. Let's question. Let's listen. Let's learn. Remember, ego is fear and self-protection. Intuition feels right. Ego considers external results. Ego rationalizes. Intuition doesn't judge. Gratification. Is it coming from within or out? I'd love to hear your experience with your intuition and your ego. Please share in the comments how you know when your intuition is guiding you, or how do you know when your ego is in control of your thinking. I'll see you in the next video. You're blessed and you are a blessing. Let's live that life.